false negative. We got a big p-value. What's that mean? Big p-value? Austin? Big p-value? Give me a noise. Big p-value? Nothing changed. Right, what were you going to say? In words, you were going to say it landed in the 95% area, which is the definition of a big p-value. Yes, thank you, sir. That's the definition of a big p. A small p-value means it landed outside of the interval. Big p-value means it landed inside, which means it's the same as it's always been. Love it. So the common response is nothing changed. Nothing changed. You're still on that curve. Okay, all is well. All is well. The problem is you could be wrong. You could say nothing changed, but in fact you got deviant data. Just deviant data from another curve. That's the trick. And this is the trick with that second curve, which we've only talked about conversationally so far. We're going to get into it more as the course goes on. Let's formalize. Oh, sorry. Did you catch how I slapped a Greek letter on a type 1 error? It's called alpha. Did you catch that on your... I'm sorry. I should have mentioned that a little bit more. I should have mentioned that more. It's got a Greek letter associated with it called alpha. You'll very often see this in research articles. Type 2 error also has a Greek letter attached to it. And it's called beta. Why? Because that's one of the more logic things that statisticians have done, is just assign successive Greek letters. Yay! And if there was a type 3 error, they call it gamma, I hope. Now, here's a trick question. What is the chance of type 2 error? It's a trick question. What is the chance of a type 2 error?
5%.
It's a trick question. It's a trick question. It's a trick question. It's a trick question. What's the definition of a trick question? A question that has... Well, no answer. I'm asking you to get... Trick by definition, Sean. Thank you, Alan. Oh. You can't tell me. You can't tell me what it is. Now, not yet anyway. Here's why. And Linda, it goes back to something you said earlier. You were very prophetic earlier with what you were saying. You kept saying, you asked me about the second curve. The reason we know the chance of a type 1 error is 5% is because we know that this curve is centered at 0. Which means we know we can go out a certain distance and put a marker down that puts 5% over here. So in order to know what a type 2 error is, we have to figure out the chance of an outlier on the other curve. The type 1 error would be an outlier on this curve. A type 2 error would look like it belongs on this curve, right? Big p-value, correct? Big p-value. It would look like it would belong on this curve. But it actually would be an outlier on the other curve. So suppose the other curve is down here. Lowered lung function. Lowered lung function, yeah? That's what it looked like, lowered lung, down. And if we got a big p-value, that means it would land what appears to be, as Austin correctly said, in this curve. Yes, 95% of the time, about. The problem is, do you see how this is also on the green curve? But it's an outlier on the green curve, yes. So that means maybe lung function was reduced at 0, 1, and 3 hours, but we just got goofy data at 3. So the question I have for you guys is, what's that probability right there? Trick question!
5%.
Trick question! Why can't you tell me?
Oh, because they overlap.
Well, that's a great answer. Thank you. I'm writing an article right now on the congruence of the area of overlap and the p-value. I haven't gotten anywhere yet with it. I've been working for about 4 or 5 years now. A simpler reason. Sorry. People are like, oh my God, he's that much of a dork. Yes. Say that again, Jolene. The problem is, what is that? Very good. You don't know what that is, so you don't know how far this is. You can't, because 0 is over here. This is clearly below 0, but the question is, define below 0. Right. How far? How below? -2, -4, -6? I have no friggin' idea. So what you do, and what's fun about this is, this beta over here, the opposite of alpha. I'm going to come back to this. I mentioned on a quiz a few weeks back that this significance alpha